Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, I'm going to talk about whether it's possible to succeed in your hometown. Now, just to kind of give you a little bit background about myself, I pretty much stayed in the same place for a long time because I thought people were just normal and rational, right? Like you grow up in the same place your entire life, you know the same people, and there comes a point where you become an adult, you want to step it up, and you want, you want to share, become successful, but not only do you want to become successful, you want to become successful with the people around you, essentially, not just you leveling up, but everybody else leveling up. So kind of like in Final Fantasy. So, if you ever play Final Fantasy, maybe in the beginning you level up, but at the end you level up with the group of people to defeat the final boss. And there came a point in my life where I was an adult, and to be honest, I was incredibly frustrated because I wasn't making any money. I felt like I was getting nowhere in life, and I felt like I followed the path that people laid out for me, and it didn't work out. So instead of helping me to become my best, they just essentially blamed me. And, just to kind of give you some context, we live in a society where like 80% of people fail at life. Like, I know it's just a random number, but it's a pretty high number, right? We don't live in a society where like, oh, only 2 to 3% fail at whatever. And you can, type in anything, like buying their first home, 80% of people regret it. Or you like, how many people are depressed? Like, more than Gen Z, more than 60% or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't live in a society where the majority of people succeed in what they want to do. And so to kind of, if people are caring and understanding and actually support each other and just kind of been a little bit rational about, you know, certain situations, they'd be understanding. It's like, oh yeah, you went to college, it was 2008, economic crisis, don't worry, we'll support you. And if you want to make it big, we're going to make it big together. If I had heard that type of language, I would have never thought about leaving my hometown. But every time I shared an idea, it always seemed like there was some sort of a people going out of their way to tell me what an idiot I was or why I shouldn't try. Like it was really weird, and I felt like what was more important to them, even though I was a fully grown adult, was that if they can't control me, then I don't have the right to exist. And I think I was really like shocked and depressed by that. And that's really the only reason I moved, right? Like if people were just what I would consider to be normal, rational human beings, where you grow up in a place and then people support each other and then you die, but you know you lived a fulfilling life with other people because you have good memories with them and you're responsible for your community growing and supporting other people, then why would I ever move? I think um, you know, it's very hard for me to imagine a world where I would move because one, I'm pretty lazy. Like I like the path of least resistance, so I'm not going to go out of my way to like be successful. And B, the only reason that I really thought about making money and success is just because um I felt like there was absolutely no opportunity. Like even if I tried to apply at McDonald's, like for some reason the interview at McDonald's is super hard, right? Like it makes absolutely no sense. And in fact, just to kind of give you some more personal anecdotes, like I realized the amount of pay that I've gotten has nothing to do with like how hard the job interview was. So sometimes like this may happen in your life where you may have like this really easy job interview and then they give you a lot of money, but if you apply to like McDonald's or you apply to work at the supermarket, they're like supermarket or Amazon, they're like grilling your, asking all of these questions and then making you pass all these tests. And it's like so hard just for the minimum wage job. It's strange how society works like that. And I just felt like back at home that that was what I was experiencing, where I'm just climbing this uphill battle and not really getting anything out of it. And so, um, I eventually left just because I just feel like I was getting nowhere with the people around me. And this was back in like 2015, so this is like 10 years ago, where um well not 10 years ago, like 8 years ago, where people were like not they I don't know if it was I felt like they were delusional, but I just felt like they didn't care and they couldn't see what was going on or they didn't want to admit what was going on. So I remember back then when I left California, um, there was this like sense of like, ooh, why would you leave California? It's the best place to be. And for me, all I saw was like the Titanic, right? You remember the movie Titanic where everybody was like saying, "Oh, and God couldn't sink the ship," and then the ship was sunk, right? And that's how I felt about California. And so when the shutdowns happen and people realize what the actual situation was. Now they were leaving by droves. So I left when it was not cool to leave, but that's because I just felt like there was no point. But I think people will only leave once they're at their tipping point, unfortunately, where I felt like I was just at my tipping because I'm not going to try hard just to for the right to exist, right? So I did a search on YouTube about leaving your hometown, and for some reason, I couldn't find anything like this on Google. So if I typed in leaving your hometown, I didn't really get these types of entries. But when you search on YouTube, I guess it's more personal, so people will talk about this in a more personal way, like I'm doing. But it's like saying, "Oh, why staying in your hometown ruins your life? Why God separates chosen ones from their family and hometown, and leave your hometown to trap." So it's very negative in the sense of should you stay in your hometown or not. And one of the reasons why I think it's actually impossible to succeed in your hometown is because the people around you don't want to see you leveling up. You know what I'm saying? And this is why every time I had an idea, and maybe I was just completely ignorant, I was excited to share it with the people around me, people who I grew up with, and they spend all this time and energy giving me negative feelings to tell me like kind of like encourage me or discourage me for trying. And one of the things I realized as a adult is that it takes a lot of effort and energy to discourage a person. Like I'm so lazy that I could never do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a lot of effort. And so when I realized how much people were discouraging me from just doing things, and to be honest, I never intended to be like rich or a millionaire or own a home. I was just like, I'm actually I was one of those persons where like I watch Office Space and then, you see him work the construction field or in construction at the end and lose his tech job because it seems like a simpler life. That was like my mentality. I never wanted to uh, do more than the minimum. And so when I realized like there's no, our society has come to a point where you work hard and almost get nothing out of it. Um, I was thinking, man, there's got to be better ways, and I share my ideas and people were really discouraging me so one of the reasons why it's almost a pretty much I don't want to say 100% but I'd say 95% impossible to succeed in your hometown is because the people there they've known you from a certain point and they want you just to stay at that level. So it's like think about it, like, oh, I've known this guy or girl for like 10, 20 years, but then the next year she's a millionaire. But to me, she was just like plain Joe or Jane, right? So, there's that psychological phenomenon that people will, trust strangers more than people they've known. And that's how it's been for me as well. I'm really surprised, like when I meet strangers and, essentially the clients that you deal with are essentially strangers, especially the first time you meet them. They're not, people you've grown up with. How much trust and affirmation that they would be willing to give, and they would say things that I never heard in my hometown ever, like ever, right? And I'm like, I kind of feel validated, but at the same time, I kind of feel sad because it's just like, I don't really care about these people. I'm willing to do a good job for them, but I wanted to hear it from the people that I cared about. But the people that I cared about didn't want to see me level up because maybe they saw it as a threat. And I didn't know how to take that for the longest time. And that's why I think it took me so long to leave. Like whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to learn and grow together with the people I knew. And in the end, it's just me coming to the conclusion that they didn't want that for me, which is why I eventually left. Like if I had to go back, there's no way I could do what I did here. There's no way I could do it if I were still there, just because of the negative feelings, negative energy, even self-isolation is probably a better choice than being around people who bring you down with negative energy. So if you have something exciting to share, it just feels like um, there's no emotion or response, or they're just sharing that negative energy, right? And that's kind of why I always thought about this a long time, because when I was graduating from high school, I never thought about leaving, and the real only reason I thought about leaving is just because I just felt like I'm going nowhere with the people, and I wanted to learn and grow together with them, and I don't think they ever wanted that for me. You know, maybe they might listen to this video and say that's the opposite. Then, and that's true. Why did I leave? Right? Why did I leave? You know, it's kind of like no, The Simpsons, where Milhouse was like saying something about like the dog ate the, I forget what it was, goldfish or something, and the Milhouse like, why did I have the bowl? Why did I have the? You remember that scene? I don't know. You can look up in The Simpsons, but it's something like that. But anyways, back to my point. Um, yeah, I just find that staying in your hometown, there's going to be a point where you do have to leave, because and I would say avoid a big city too. Like, don't go to a big city, but there has to be a point where you do have to leave, because if you don't, you're just going to stagnate. You know, it's a old age phenomenon that the people who believe in you the least are the ones who've known you the most from childhood, which is sad. All right, so this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. If you're interested in joining our mentorship group, go ahead and click that Google form link below on the description of the YouTube video, or you could email us at the about page of the Yahoo. I'm not Yahoo, about the in the YouTube channel, and just shoot us an email there. We'll get on a Zoom call, see if we're a good fit, and we'll talk to you then. All right, have a great day, everybody.